Day 4, y'all.
Day 4. Today's like the last serious day before tomorrow we have fun. I'm excited about that.
That'll be good.
Yeah,
Today will be good, but that will be good.
all the days are good. That's true. That's true. Okay, well, while you all join, I'll say a couple things, which is that we've recorded the other days of this, including today and for tomorrow as well. Um, and I will put those all up on YouTube. I will do that today. I'll put the first 4 up so that you guys can watch them again. And then we had other ideas for like other ways we could do this, but if you have feedback on how they went or what you'd like to see next time or anything like that, be sure to let us know.
Yes,
However,
please.
however you want, however it's available. But what I thought we would do today is go over some of the things that we see go wrong most often, and then go through the manicure a little bit again and show you if you did make a mistake, how you could fix it, or whether you can fix it or whether you should start over. Um, so how's that sound? Caitlin and I are particularly qualified to speak on this as people who help with customer service related issues. But if throughout this you see something, I have some ideas in my mind. But if you're like, oh, what happens if you do it upside down? I can tell you how to do that. And then I'll change my camera and Caitlin, let me know what else I missed.
You did beautifully. Thank you. As always, drop your questions of any sort regarding gel manis and what to do, what not to do. Drop it in the chat, and either I will type out an answer for you or pass it to Liv, wherever it makes sense in the flow. So don't be shy. All questions are good questions so that everybody can learn and have a fabulous gel mani. So don't hold back, and we're here to help.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start with some of the questions that I feel like I see most often with gel. And the first is that my nail pops off in one piece by just like looking at it, just like that. And based on how quickly that nail popped off, we would not want that to happen in your normal day-to-day life, because then it could, fall on your food or something like that. And whenever you see a nail come off, like literally even just like by looking at it, it's because you most likely applied too much peel off base coat. You covered too much of your nail. So what we see people do is they take their peel off base coat and they paint it the way they would paint a regular polish. So they would start in the middle of their nail and then push down towards the base of their cuticle and then pull back and then hit the two sides like that. Peel off base coat is not meant to be painted like a polish. It is designed for very specific placement, which is a very, very small amount. So you first want to make sure you wipe everything off the brush like that. And then you want to just paint it in the center of your prepped natural nail. And I like to do little swoopy strokes to make sure it's kind of a nice little round placement, but you leave a border all around your natural nail because that's going to give your gel base coat and color and top coat that you put on top of that something to anchor to. When you paint your entire nail with peel off base coat and then you paint gel on top and you cure it and all that stuff. Even if you've cured it and even if you've, dehydrated your nails super well and all these things, your gel is basically just like hanging on by gravity. So if you know, bang your finger on something, or even if you like wash your hands or something like that, you're making it very easy for that gel just to come right off. So if you put too much peel off base coat on your nails, you can wait for it to dry and then you can kind of just like fall it off your nails. You can dip it in the acetone remover pot and kind of get it off. That'll dry it. And then you can see it kind of just like peels off in like one little piece. So it's not the end of the world if you do it. I would just make sure you take it off and start over, because there's nothing more frustrating than spending all this time on a beautiful gel manicure and then you basically like blow it off and it comes off and you're like, oh man, like what a waste of time. So that is because you put too much all over. The other thing that we see, and we see it most with sheer colors because it's really the most obvious way. And I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but there's what looks like bubbles in this gel, which I feel like you can see when I like push on the gel like that. I don't know if it comes through or not. But people will think that that's like a bubble that they got in their manicure. And while I'm able to push these bubbles around, it's not making the whole nail come off. That is because you put too much peel off base coat in the center of your nail. You still have that strong anchor all around the outside, but that like puddle of peel off is just kind of trapped under that gel. And it's looking like you have like an air pocket or something under there. The other thing that you can kind of see on this nail here is if you have cured your gel and you didn't properly clean up around the outside, and then you sort of like tried to pick off the gel that's already been cured, you may cause this lift start to happen like that, which is why you really want to make sure you clean everything up before you cure it, because what this little lift will become over time as you wash your hands and you do whatever, you'll break that seal all the way. And then you're going to have, once again, the whole nail come off in one piece. So not only do you want a nice concentrated area of peel off base coat with a really nice border all around, you also want to make sure that that coat is really thin, because nothing more, no, I mean, the most annoying I think is an early peel, but those bubbles on a sheer manicure that's meant to be like very neat and all that stuff, it's gonna look kind of messy when there's bubbles underneath. Okay, so
Angie asked if if peel off base is then applied properly, does it show through the sheer polishes?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So if the peel off base is applied properly, will it still show through gel polishes, the sheer ones?
No, it will still, and I will show you on this finger. Uh, but yeah, a thin coat. Also, my nails are a little bit here, there, and everywhere. We are safe, everyone is fine, but I'm just anxious, and one of my anxious habits is picking my cuticles, which I know do as I say, not as I do. But just everyone's fine here, but I'm a little bit nervous Nelly. Okay. Yes, if you have a the right amount of peel off base coat, which is to say none at all, basically, you will not see it through the shear. You can also, if you put peel off base coat on and you decided you didn't like it, you can also just kind of do it. I just didn't rub the finger, and you can just peel off the little residual piece of peel off base coat that's left. It's kind of like that adhesive that they use to like stick um like on mailings and stuff like that.
I'll
No
show
big
an
deal.
example because Susan had asked to see the French from yesterday, and this also applies to peel off with shears. I have finally, after this is like my third shear mani, I finally did it. No bubbles. Like I got I got it all right. So it is very doable. Looks lovely.
Oh yeah, you're like really living your best nail life over there.
It's a good time. Just don't look
Very
at my right hand where I may have been an anxious person to my right pointer finger.
Yeah, my left hand is usually my like display hand. This one I bit down to nothing, and then this one I've been picking. So really I'm just all over the place here. Um, okay, so now we're gonna get into the manicure process. I'm gonna go ahead and plug my lamp in. And I'm going to go through some of the things that we see you guys ask about a lot. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip most of the nail prep, and you can go back and watch those other videos when they're all up on YouTube. But let's start with some peel off base coat, just so that all this is easy to take off. And if you have other things with gel that you'd like to see, let me know so I can get those prepared for you. But I'm just gonna do a little bit of peel off here so that you can see. Okay. And then on this finger, I'm going to put too much peel off base coat. So do as I say, not as I do. So when it comes to peel off base coat, the test to ensure that you have done the right amount is basically, did that coat of peel off base coat dry matte in about 1 to 2 minutes? If that coat of peel off base coat did not dry matte in 1 to 2 minutes, that coat is too thick, and you would want to dip it in the remover pot, wipe it off, and then start over. What we see people write in about with gel is they will say, your gel is super gloopy and it doesn't work and they don't like it, etc., etc. And I would say two things. One, it's possible you got a bad bottle. So if you did, we'll replace it for you. Caitlin is a legend and will always make it right for you. But what we see people doing a lot is they do too thick of a coat of peel off base coat. And while it's still wet, because it will basically take forever to dry, they go in with their gel base coat and they start to paint their gel base coat on top of peel off base coat that is really wet. And what that ends up turning into is a little boogie of gel base coat and peel off base coat. Like if you can see, it's like very mucousy and gross. Sorry in advance, but I do get videos of this. And that is because you've tried to put gel base coat on top of peel off that is not yet dried and will like never dry because it's so thick. So it's not actually an issue with the gel base coat, it's because you were trying to do it on top of peel off that was too thick. So what we recommend you do, if that is the case, is take your gel base coat and try to wipe off with your brush as much as you can. And then I like to just kind of wipe that off on like a piece of paper like that. So that you can get everything off your gel base coat brush. So you basically wipe all that off. And then once you've done that, with whatever is still left on your finger, dip that in your acetone remover pot because you want to get any of that uncured gel base coat off. And then you'll see there's a little bit of peel off residue there. And now my nail's clean and I'm ready to go. So it is most often because people are applying too much peel off base coat and then trying to go in with gel base coat on top, and it's just like turning into like a mucus situation. So thin coats of peel off base coat. And if you've turned your gel base coat mucusy, I would recommend, like I said, wiping off that like extra boogery stuff on a piece of paper. And if you feel like there's still some stuff on your brush, just take a piece of paper and wipe it like that. So it kind of regains its shape and then you're good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with some gel base coat here on my pointer finger, starting in the center of the nail, pushing down towards the base of the cuticle, and then swiping. Super thin coats here, don't need a lot. And because gel's on the thicker side, sometimes I will, if I have too much on my brush, I'll either go back and take it off, just like that, or I'll like give a little bit of the extra onto another nail, and then I'll come back to it and smooth it all down. And I'll do thin coat of gel base coat there. And now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to cure it over here. And I think maybe I'll do GH again because I thought that that one showed up really well on camera. But Caitlin, what do you think?
That's perfect because Lisa just asked how many coats to do with GH. She said she did 3 thin coats, but could still see some of her natural nail. How many coats recommended for those lighter colors?
Oh, that's a good question. It's the same as regular polish where like the issue is not how many coats you do, it's how thick they are. So you are so perfect to do 3 thin coats of GH if that gives you full coverage. If you're doing 3 thin coats and you can still see your whites of your nails, I would say maybe you could probably go a little bit thicker with your coat, but if they're 3 or 4 really, really thin coats, that's going to be the equivalent, of of 2 slightly heavier handed ones, and that mani's probably going to last a really long time because it's really, really thin and really, really well cured. Um, but if you want to send us a picture, we can look at it too. Okay, let me go grab GH so we can do that.
Fabulous. Let's see, Melissa, would you recommend using dry drops on the cleanup brush after you've done with the whole mani? Oh, yeah, to keep up your bristles. I would think that's fine if you're allowing enough time for that to really settle into your brush. Like your mani's not the next day, right? You should be good to go with that. That shouldn't be an issue. It's okay to get uncured gel in the remover pot. Yes, you can wipe off your cleanup brush in the remover pot. You can dip a messed up layer in the remover pot. It's okay.
Here we go with some GH. So I'm going to wipe everything off the brush. This is super key. Take your time with this. As I said, I think earlier this week, a lot of gel will kind of gather on the stem there. So make sure you wipe that off because that will flow down the brush and then surprise you later. Okay, so I'm gonna go in the center of my nail, push down towards the base of the cuticle. Hit the 2 sides. And I'm going to take my time and really get a really nice, really thin, even coat. And I'm sure it doesn't show up on camera, but it is definitely streaky. Okay. Nice and thin. My nails are on the shorter side right now, so I'm not going to cap because I have all this skin right here to protect my nails from impact. As my nails grow out with this gel, then, for my next manicure, if I have more of a free edge, I can go ahead and cap there. Now I'm going to cure for 2 minutes. And we're going to do some other things that can go wrong with your nails.
Any more questions on what we've covered while we're curing here?
We should have curing music.
Absolutely. If there was a jingle built into the lamp, I wouldn't hate it.
Oh my gosh.
It needs to be on an on-off switch though for when we're overstimulated and don't need that, but
Oh my gosh.
sometimes.
I was thinking about when I like ever do like a CCT or the Queen takes her tea with milk manicure. To me, it's like the equivalent of turning off the vent on your stove. I'm like, that you like the calmness that you feel after you've
Ah,
turned that off finally? You're like, whoa, what a relief.
right.
All right. So that is my first coat of GH. Let's talk about things that can go wrong from here. Okay. What do I need? I remover pot. So things that can go wrong are the following. Let's say you are doing your GH and you're like, great, all this is great, perfect, love it, great, fantastic. And even this, again, I'm not sure it'll show up on camera, but this is still not perfect opaque coverage for me. And I would rather do 3 thin coats than try to put too much and cure a really thick coat. Colors like, fun fact, colors like red and white and black, and because GH is such a light pink with a ton of white pigment in it, those colors are actually the hardest for the LED light to penetrate. And so they, if it is too thick of a coat, then you may end up with some uncured gel. So thin coats that you cure for the right amount of time are always, always going to be better. Okay, so let's just say that I'm going and I'm going to drop like a piece of fuzz on my
Did you
gel.
bring a fuzz prop
I
to
did.
class today?
I did. I came prepared. If you are doing your nails and you get, I mean, all I do is wear grandma sweater. So if you get a piece of fuzz in your sweater like that, but if your gel has not yet been cured, you can very easily take your cleanup brush. You don't even have to dip it in the river pot, but you can just swipe that away. And then, because you haven't cured your nails yet, I'll just come back. Oh, that's easy too. I'll just come back and you can see there's like a patch taken out of my gel, and I'll just come back, take a bunch off my brush, and just make sure that coat is nice and smoothed over before I go in for that cure. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to try to like swipe it away, you can go back to your remover pot. Remember, I've already cured 1 coat of GH on my nails. So by dipping in the remover pot, my first layer of GH remains undisturbed because I've already cured it. So it doesn't matter what I do on top. If I haven't cured it yet, I can always dip it in the remover pot, take it off, start over. Dipping it in the remover pot will not disturb or mess up the layer that I've already done and banked underneath. So I think I saw someone saying like, can I see that? So that's why we love gel for nail art, because let's say you're trying to do like a French tip or something and you mess up your French tip, you can dip your nail in the remover pot, take that French off, and all that beautiful base you've already done remains undisturbed. So now I'm going to go back here, reapply my GH like that.
We have a couple great questions. One is, how would you know if a potentially too thick color coat is not cured enough?
Um, I don't want to like, my goal is never to like worry anyone or scare anyone. If you're wiping most things, if you're really making sure that you've wiped everything off your brush before you start painting, that's probably like a perfectly fine thin coat. It's the people that go in and like don't wipe stuff off the brush and then they really just like glob it on like that and they get full opaque coverage like that. Another way you can tell that your coat is probably too thick is if you tilt your hand to the left or right and you find that the gel really shifts while it's still wet. It shouldn't really be able to move. So if you've got too much on there and you find it starting to like pool as I turn my hand to the right, for example, and now it's like uneven and lumpy on one side because there's more on this side, that would be an indicator that that coat was too thick. So
Beautiful.
that coat I just did was too thick. Come back to my friendly remover pot, go for a little dippy dip. And again, my first coat of GH remains undisturbed.
Melissa asked, I usually clean up the neck of the polish bottles with remover pot sponge so the neck doesn't get yucky. Great tip. Is it necessary to do with gel bottles since it doesn't dry by air?
It's not, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my gel bottles are way messier than my long-lasting bottles for that exact reason. Um, you could, from time to time wipe them with a lint-free cloth. I would not recommend mixing any acetone or non-acetone remover where it could like potentially get in to your gel because that will affect your gel. So a lint-free, like they sell those lint-free wipes at like the beauty supply stores or Target or even like the dollar store or something. Those I would recommend, but if I'm being honest, my gels are way messier and I just try to close them as best I can and everything's fine. All right, 2-minute cure here with my second coat of GH. I'm painting a very exciting red manicure after this. Cute.
Ooh, sounds fun. Is this in preparation for tomorrow?
Preparation for tomorrow.
That's exciting. I'm actually doing CV this weekend
Ooh.
just for funsies.
Also, your hair is very fabulous. I mean, it's fabulous all the time, but I just want you to know that it does not go unnoticed with how fabulous it is today.
It's it's Olive and June related because I did these curls with our slumber party socks.
Oh,
So we are multifaceted, folks.
she's got she's
Thank
got
you.
depth, those cozy socks.
She does.
All right, so that's my second coat of GH. And this third coat is really going to be what ties it together for me. But we will also show you things that can go wrong. All right, third coat of GH. Fabulous. Great. Okay. Now let's say in this third coat of GH, I realize I flood my cuticle a little bit. So what I would do is swipe to make everything nice and even. And because I have not yet cured this gel, I'm going to come to my acetone remover pot, swirly swirl in the remover pot, and I'm going to sweep all around where I flooded my cuticle. And it's very important that I do this because for aesthetic purposes, it's going to look way neater. For practical and long-lasting purposes, if you've cured a flooded cuticle, that's eventually going to grow out and move down the nail, and that gel that you've cured that's attached itself to your skin eventually is going to lift off because stuff doesn't stick to skin super well, and you're going to get peeling at the base of your nail and lifting, and that gel mani is not going to last as long. So practically and aesthetically. And then also because you want to avoid uncured gel on your skin. So if you find that you've bloated your cuticle, I like to go and just make sure that everything is nice and clean before I move on to the next nail if I can. Okay. The other thing that we see is, let's say I'm going in for my third coat of G8 and I notice on this finger that I've accidentally cured a piece of fuzz in my second coat. And you're like, what do I do? My best tip would be to go in for a third coat of color and try to paint over that fuzz so that you can't see it anymore. Because that's going to be way easier than trying to like remove the whole mani and then start over. Now, if you're a perfectionist and you're like, I can't bear the thought of a piece of fuzz cured in there, I need to start over, you can do that too. But once it's cured in there, I try to cover it up with another coat of color. And then when I go in for my top coat, that kind of helps add some plumpness as well. Because once it's cured in there, you can't scoop it out. And if you try to like file it off, it's going to be like a little bit, um, like uneven and lumpy. So I like to just try to cover it and hope that the plumpiness of everything and the color on top kind of covers it. But if you're a perfectionist, go ahead and, peel it off and then start over. Far be it for me to tell you that you can't be a perfectionist. And
Great. We have a question here. That's a good question. Is there any reason that you have to use a color? Can you just paint base coat and top coat if you want to clear mani?
okay, here's where like the rules are like a little bit more complicated. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That was the motto that they taught us in high school, which tells you all you need to know about me as a child. But our products are designed to be layered in a specific way for the desired effect. Now, will it work if you cure gel base coat and then cure gel top coat on top? Technically, yes. But similarly to why we don't recommend that you paint, say, super glossy top coat on your bare nails if you're looking for something clear, the gel and the top coat and the color are all designed to work together to give you the long lasting to up to 21-day wear that we promise. So because base is meant to anchor to the nail and then top coat is meant to be cured on top of a color to then protect the outside from the elements, you're not going to get the same like chemical relationship between all of them because it's not like base coat is just clear gel. So it will work. It won't last as long. And for us, we have to, make sure that we're delivering on our promise. But that said, I also really, really want clear gel. So I am pushing very hard for that to be a thing.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So
And
you
with
can,
how often Crystal is out of stock,
I know.
people enjoy a clear mani.
Crystal was like such a crazy color for us because it was so popular once it launched. But I remember like certain people in the community were like, why would you do that? We're like,
Hmm. And
"Oh,
now look.
look at her." Okay. Another thing people think is happening is they'll do, their coats of color and they'll touch their nails because they're like, oh, it's gel, it'll be dry, even though whatever. The only coat of gel that will be dry and hard and shiny to the touch when it's cured and done is your gel polish top coat. So if you happen to touch, say, your second coat of color, it will feel sticky. And that's not because you didn't cure it properly or you did too thick of a coat or something. It just all layers of gel, except for gel top coat, will feel sticky even when cured because of the chemical composition of the gel.
Mhm. Lisa said, you said you're rooting for strawberry scone and gel. Any hints on how long we'll have to wait for that?
I actually don't have a hint at all, so I feel normally it's very hard for me to keep a secret, but I truly don't have any hints for that at all. I wish that that were the case. But I do think that SGT understands how much people love strawberry scone now. So shout out to the team and shout out to Andy for making the love for strawberry scone known. Alrighty. So that is my GH Mani nice and cured. Feels amazing. We're gonna go over a couple of other things that you can do when you're wearing a gel mani and you wanna fix or something like that. So if you, let's say there's a little bit, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of GH that cured onto my skin there. You can try to pick it off. It's on your skin. The other thing you can do is very carefully take your nail file and file that off if you found that it kind of cured onto your skin. If you had any gel top coat that spilled out onto the sides, for example, you can also, filing in one direction, file that off. If you feel across the tip of your nail and it feels a little raggedy, you can also do a quick little finish file, as they say in salon. The trick for the finish file would be to position your nail file at like a downward angle like that instead of keeping it parallel, or I guess this would be perpendicular to your finger, because you want to make sure you don't lift any of that gel up. So I recommend either like filing down like that or just really gently filing at an angle like that to make sure that it looks extra neat. If you experience some lifting, like let's say my gel starts to lift from the base right there, but the rest of your manicure still looks good. Don't try to close it with gel because it won't be able to penetrate this many coats of color. You could use like regular super glossy top coat on top to try to kind of seal it down, or you could peel it up and start over. Another thing that happens with peel off is some people have weak or peely nail tips to begin with, and when you go to peel your gel off, this more like dehydrated and weak and flimsy piece of your nail will hold on to gel a little bit more. The worst thing you can do is try to like rip it off in one piece. If you're finding that there's some gel still kind of left there, you can peel it off and then really carefully just work off that last bit. You can also take the coarser side of your file and kind of file it off and have that help a little bit. But you are not a failure if your gel does not peel off in one go. So just know that sometimes you get lucky and it comes off as a perfect orange. Other times it just gets stuck at the tip. It's totally normal. Do I like it better when it's perfect like this? Yeah, for sure. But, you know, c'est la vie. Alrighty. Any other questions that I can answer while we're here?
There was a request for my nails.
Oh,
This is our CCT Shacket French. These were all mentioned last night. Miss Katie was dreaming up some cool combinations for us. And that's Shacket with Cosmic Silver.
I feel like Caitlin should teach the last day of boot camp. I'm just saying. She's an
Hmm.
old oh,
Well, I have a masterclass tonight with Emily. I'll get all her Valentine's Day ideas.
oh my gosh. I think that I don't think she normally likes those like sequin kinds of polishes, but I think she said something like, I'm going to challenge myself or I'm going to something. So
Mm-hmm.
tune in for that. Caitlin, I think you should pin yourself so that people can see your nails.
That would help, wouldn't it? Let me see. There
I'm
we go.
now.
I had a
St-
lot of fun with these.
That looks so velvety to me.
It's very velvety. Look, anxiety. Don't look at that. It reminded me a lot of the taupe jelly chrome, which was one of our
Mm.
best sellers in Pressies last year. Um, so that was a really fun final payoff to look at and be like,
I love that. I love that. So yeah, things can go wrong with gel, but most of the time they can be fixed.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
ooh, favorite gel colors for each of you. Caitlin, you go first.
Oh, I almost always say LD, but I have a crush on Cosmic Silver right now.
You do. You really do. I love that.
But
Uh,
LD's my tried and true.
was LD your first Almond June shade?
Yes.
I love
Yep.
it. Love it. For me,
Live.
icing is the best part because I love like a milky, I always come back to it. Um, and then 3 coats of Obsessed. So it's like
Mm.
very vampy.
Yeah. Obsessed was one of my first long lasting colors too. That's a great one.
Oh, I like,
Priya, yeah. What would you love to see in gel?
I want Secret Recipe.
Mm, it's such a good red.
It's, I love CB, don't get me wrong, she's classic, but Secret Recipe is my red.
You don't know until you paint it and you're like, oh, oh, it's just a whole different vibe than CV and it's beautiful.
True.
I want to see Can't Lose in gel.
Oh man, yeah.
Right? I feel like it's one of our like juiciest long lasting shades and to just see it in gel would be
Can't lose. Of course, Margie wants can't lose. My blue gal. My
hmm.
blue class in January.
That's right.
Very excited. Lisa asks, what should I do with all my long-lasting colors that will be rejected now that I have, or neglected now that I have gel? Layer it on top. And if you haven't, Margie, we should have her do it again, but Margie teaches a fantastic class on layering long-lasting polish over gel. And gel and long-lasting polish layered over each other are
They're so good. It made me appreciate my long lasting even more because
Mhm.
it goes on so smooth. It lasts a little longer. Oh, I
Susan.
know, freaking same.
Oh yeah, Margie's teaching next week, polish over gel. I'm like, girl. Um, okay, well, that is day 4. That is things that can go wrong. If you're watching this on YouTube and something went wrong that we did not go over, just ask us in the comments and we can answer. And we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be fun. We'll be layering, we'll do nail art, we'll do mixing. Um, and yeah, it's been so much fun hanging out with y'all this week. And thank you for being such a nice distraction from some pretty sad stuff that's happening around my city.
Yeah, it's a wild time for sure.
Um, okay, y'all, all of y'all, we'll see you
I
tomorrow.
love you. See you tomorrow, friends.